Hello everyone and welcome back to Code Skwela, and now we're back for another episode of our Excel to Blazor series, and this time around we are going to continue on working on our weekly timesheet application. And so from the previous episode we have talked about how we've created a UI mockup, and so just for a quick review, right now we have here our mockup that I've discussed previously in our previous episode. And so here we have four screens that we will be building up. And so again, first one would be your home page, which would display a simple graph of like the daily totals for the 2 weeks. And then another screen here would be managing the timesheets and employees. So the timesheets would be composed of two pages. So the first one would be the general timesheets list, and then the other one would be the details of a specific timesheet. Okay, so I've already built up the UI, so I'm not going to discuss as I code through, but I'm just going to discuss what I did with the UI that I've created here. And so let's run this application now so that we'll be able to see what it would look like. So this is just specifically the UI. There's no logic yet for this part. So we'll just trying to figure out how it would look like on the user's end. Okay, so now we have on the left side our additional new menus here. So we have the employees and then the timesheets. So let's go through the employees uh, list first, or page. So this one is coming up from our mock-up. I tried to, yeah, since I'm not really very good at creating UI mockups, but this is the best that I've put up. And so from the mockup, you have your table here, a list of, oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. Here at the bottom, this one. So we have a list of employees, and then it would allow us to filter the employees by this control here. We have the drop down selection. Then on the top part here is you have your title, and then you have this button that allows you to uh, add a new employee. Okay, so what's missing here though is that what would the UI look like when we add a new employee or edit one in the for that case. So here, this is now our employees page UI, and so as you can see, I have added some sample data here where it would list the employees by name, its manager, and then action buttons on the rightmost column. So here you can click on this edit button, and then if you do that, then it will allow you to edit the name or set a manager for the employee. So this one already has some validation, and so yeah, if you fail to add a name, then it would uh, show you the uh, validation, okay, in red. It says that it's also being required. Okay, can close that one. This one would list the employees. Now the filter functions, it doesn't have this one yet since I've just focused on the UI side of things. Okay, but this is how it would look like. I was thinking of like doing some sort of wherein you can type in the name of the employee for you to search, but this one is just a strict drop down where you can select from an employee. But maybe I'll be move it to a different control where you can type in the name from the list of employees for easier filtering. Okay, and so the topmost bar here would be the title of the page, and then you have your add new employee button here, which would have the plus sign. So if you click that one, it would open up this modal that would allow you to enter a new employee. Again, it has the same validation as the one that on the edit one. Okay, so I've tried to make this as simple as possible, so I did not opt for like when you click an add or when you add an employee, it would navigate to a different page. So I opted for just a modal way of adding stuff or data in the case of this employee page. All right, okay, I think we have satisfied that end. Now let's go and focus to the timesheets. So the timesheets would have two parts or pages. The first one would be the list of the timesheets, and then you have the actual timesheet details itself. Okay, so the code, by the way, the code for this one is quite simple. It's just a simple table, and then you have this uh, mud select. Okay, and then you have your simple buttons. So let's proceed to the timesheets. So the timesheets, it looks pretty much like the employees page, wherein you have a list of uh, timesheets here. So it would be just displayed as a table. Now, I think what's missing here is adding pagination. Okay, paginated data, since it would just display everything. So I have a sample data already here. So what would be much better improvement would be to add pagination controls. Okay, so you have your tables here, and then you have your filter options. So you can filter by employee, or you can filter by the start of the week. Okay, it would be like, it would be pointing to filtering by this column, the week start. Okay, and so this one is already sort of an autocomplete uh, control, wherein you can type in the data that you want to filter, and then you can select from those. Okay, and then this one would be let's inspect the uh, code for that. So you have your timesheets, the index.razor page would be the razor component for the timesheets for this one. All right, and so the filters, I've used a mud date picker. Okay, and then the filter by employee would be the mud autocomplete control. Okay, so it is separated by the mud paper, the topmost part, here, the page title, and then the add button, and then the rest would be layout by grid. So you have this one, the filters section. I've used a mud grid to lay them out, and then the table would be just a simple mud simple table. Okay, and then uh, another functionality added here, which was not added on the our mockup, is when you want to add a new timesheet. Okay, so I've opted for just a simple model. So in this case, if we click the add timesheet, it will show you an option to select an employee. Okay, and indicate the week start, and then you can click save. Okay, so that's how you add a timesheet. Now for the timesheet details, so ideally, after you click the save, then it would navigate you to the timesheet details. So what would the timesheet details actually look like? So example, if you want to view the details, you can click here. So each of these week start date is clickable, which means you can navigate to the details of that timesheet. Okay, so if you click this one, this is now our very main timesheet page. Okay, so this is all of the entry that is being that is, I mean, the entry point for the users to log in their times. Okay, so I've tried to make it as close as possible to our mockup, which is this one, which in the original Excel sheet would be this one, like this one. Okay, and so yeah, this one is a bit it took me some time to build this one up, but uh, I took this idea coming off from my previous episode or project, wherein we built the I think it's monthly company budget. So here the budget page is formatted just like this one. So sorry. So in the monthly company budget project or application, we have this table that shows you, that would allow you to directly input data on the cells itself. So it would act like sort of like an Excel-like uh, way of inputting things. So here it it will look like a table, but it's actually just a grid. Okay, and so learning from what I've learned from the previous project, I've applied it here, yeah, in our timesheet details page. So this is the timesheet details page itself, coming off from the timesheets navigation or folder. So now this is the uh, code behind it. So I try to make it like as close to like a table looking like, as close as possible to a table. So now it does look like an actual table itself. But yeah, now you have different controls for the different inputs. So for the time in, I've used a time picker here. So that would be, let's go here. So this is the actual uh, code for the rows, all of these individual rows here, 14 rows, since we would accept inputs of 2 weeks or 14 days. Okay, so the controls that I've used here is the mud time picker, and then this one would be just a mud numeric field for the breaks column. Again, for the timeout would be a time picker, and the other inputs are just text field. So they are text fields since we have to follow this hour and minute format. So you can type in an hour and then it will automatically uh, add the colon, and then you can indicate the minute. But there's additional logic here if you have to complete it correctly. So anything over 59 would be considered invalid since we are just limited by the 60-minute uh, time range. Okay, so now if you input anything below equal to below 60, then it would correct itself. Okay, now that's acceptable. But if you add like 66 or yeah, more than uh, 59, then it would be invalid. Now the logic here is as custom logic. So I took the idea from, so I've used, to be honest, I've used Copilot to generate the logic for the validation. So I've asked Copilot what would be the validation to use if I want to follow this kind of specific format, hours and minutes. So let's see here. Okay, so we have here the setting for the mud text field. It will, so the good thing about the mud text field is it would allow you to enter or set a kind of mask, okay, or a specific pattern that the user would have to follow. So in this case, we have this 0:00, which would match our hour colon minutes. Okay, and then the validation would be this validation time method here. So what does that look like? So let's navigate to that method, and it's just basically this. So the value will be matched against or compared against this regular expression. Okay, so it would have to be any number, positive number, separated by a colon, literal separator, and then numbers from 5 to 9, okay, which would accept 59 and below numbers. So if it doesn't match, then we just return false to indicate that it's an invalid one. Okay, so yeah, that's the way that we've added validation for this uh, column. Okay, same thing applies to overtime, sick, holiday, and vacation. Okay, now I've added additional set at the bottom wherein you've displayed the totals for each of these uh, types of leaves, and then your total pay, and then your grand total pay, which would be calculated. So this would be a different uh, additional logic or a different logic. So we will be adding that in our next episode, wherein we will try to hook up all of this UI to our logic, including adding and saving of data, and then doing the calculations for all of these. Okay, I also forgot to tell tell you that the topmost part, again, you have our page title, and then our button here would be just a save button. So you would have to explicitly click the save button when you do your changes here. So we will just try to make it simple as possible to not make like an autosave, sort of autosave. So whatever input you add here, it would have to be explicitly saved by clicking on the save button. Okay. And so yeah, let's inspect it a bit here. So the borders, I've added them. I've added some logic here. So for the borders, so the borders, I've uh, set them using this set border function or method. Okay, which indicates that so what I the logic behind these borders would be like, if it's the leftmost corner, the borders would have to be indicated as all of the sides, and then the rest of the remaining columns would only be the left, right, and then the bottom. Okay, uh, if it's the first uh, column, it would be the top, bottom, and then the right. Any rows after that would be just the bottom and then the right. Okay, so that's the bottom, that's the logic here. Okay, bottom right. So it's kind of it's kind of nitpicky stuff, but yeah, eventually it turned out uh, great for this one. Okay, and so yeah, this is I think this is uh, most of the time that I've spent working on, since yeah, building up this table is kind of uh, involves so much little details and stuff. And so yeah, hopefully in our next episode we'll be able to hook up the actual logic for this one, wherein you can save the data, whatever changes that we have here, and including the calculations at the bottom. Okay, and I think for the last, I mean, the other part that's missing here is this graph. We'll be adding that at the end of the series. Okay, so that once we have some sample data that is actually uh, coming off from our logic. Okay, once we hook up our database via entity framework core. Okay, so I guess that covers what I needed to discuss here. So try to simplify things as much as possible, and so we have ended up with this kind of UI. So please let me know if you have any thoughts or ideas about this UI. So just let me know in the comment section, and if you have any suggestions or whatever ideas that could be that we could use to improve this one, maybe we'll add that. And yeah, I think that sums up all of these things for this episode. And yeah, I think I'll have to see you again in our next episode, guys. So please stay tuned and join me in our next episode, and see you soon, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Bye.